Okay. So thank you everyone for joining this morning this second meeting with AEDIB. Today we are gonna go through again a quick short presentation from Mark that is gonna give us some presentation of the project and also about the invitation. Later, we are gonna go to Rafael, who is gonna be explaining to us the eligibility criteria for joining the program, the award criteria, and information about the application form. All these three parts are gonna be followed by some moments that we will dedicate to your questions, and we will provide some with answers. And also, like the last part of the meeting is gonna be dedicated just to answer to the questions. So please, as I was already anticipating in our chat, feel free to write on the box that you have in the chat. We will make sure that we can collect there, and we'll make sure that you have your question answered by today. Also, some information regarding this webinar. This is going to be recorded for educational purposes. And I think it's all set. We can start with Mark now. Okay, Mark, now you are the presenter. So feel free to share your screen if you have to, and welcome.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alessandra, for the introductory words, and a warm welcome from my side to all of you. To those who don't know me yet, my name is Mark Himmer. I'm from GIZ, and GIZ is the coordinating organization for this project, the AEDIB project, and more on that later on. But first of all, I want to wish you again, take this opportunity to wish you all a Happy New Year. I hope you have all had a good transition into 2022, into this hopefully exciting year, which will hopefully as well be less dominated by that pandemic as the years ahead. Now, what I want to do now is I want to give you a quick update and a quick context into the AEDIB project, what it is about, where it comes from, and also explain a bit about the concept of digital innovation hubs. Some of you may have heard that already, so please bear with me if there is some redundancy in there, but I think that's always worthwhile to keep that in mind when you work on the applications. And before I start now with that, also I really want to encourage all of you to hand in an application. And as you will see later on, hopefully the effort is reasonable for that. And maybe sometimes it looks like you would need to have everything in place already to be able to hand an application. That's not the case. All we want to do and all we want to have at this stage is having your idea, your vision of what you want to achieve. And it's very important for us that you are able to transmit that, and even if you think that it's not 100% yet ready or whatever, just as long as you provide us with the idea and the vision that you're having, that's perfectly fine. So please hand in an application. And with that, let me present to you a bit about the AEDIB project. Now, it's called AEDIB, is the abbreviation for the African European Digital Innovation Bridge. And what it is, it's a project that has received funding from the European Union. But let me start at the very beginning. So back in December 2020, yeah, it was 2020, there was a political initiative was being called into life by various European Union member states, by the European Commission itself, with the objective to strengthen African digital innovation ecosystems and to provide a linkage and a network between the African digital innovation ecosystems and the European digital innovation ecosystems. And that political initiative is called the African European Digital Innovation Bridge, and it has been announced at a high level with the former Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, the EU President Ursula von der Leyen, at a high level event. Now, in order not to have this simply as a political initiative, the European Commission has has awarded a project. It's called the AEDIB Net project, which is a very specific project now to implement this higher vision of that. And this is a project that's being carried out by a consortium of overall 13 partners. In there, some of them you may know, like AfriLabs, the African Business Angel Network, our main political partners in Africa. From a development cooperation perspective, we're working with Expertise France from the French side, and ABEL from the Belgian side, and GIZ representing the German side. We have a few actors there from the European innovation ecosystem, such notably as Funding Box, who are hosting today very gracefully this meeting, and who are also managing this invitation, and so on. So together with these 13 partners, we're implementing this AEDIB Net project. Now, what are we actually doing in there? There is a variety. I mean, we all know that you can strengthen the African innovation ecosystem through quite a big variety of actions. And within AEDIB Net now, we have that opportunity to try out and pilot a few of those instruments. So a few things that we're doing here is creating an ecosystem mapping of selected countries. We're establishing more on the policy level a digital intergovernmental forum. We're providing a policy toolkit and handbooks on policy reforms to facilitate digital innovations. We're developing a digital entrepreneurial skills academy that is focusing on marginalized groups and how to bring them and how to encourage their digital literacy skills and entrepreneurial skills. Then most notably, and maybe that's the most dominant one, is establishing the digital innovation hubs. And this is as well where the invitation is about in today's webinar. And obviously, we're going to spend a bit more on that in detail. But we're also piloting angel investor networks, which will be thematically themed, not geographically focused. We'll have so-called virtual community marketplaces through our partner BC4A. And then we have, for the connection part, we have study trips planned between Europe and Africa. We have a transcontinental virtual internship program. We're running innovation boot camps, and we're also linking diaspora communities to innovation actors, and much, much more. So as you see, it's quite a basket that we can offer here. The good thing is that if you apply and if you will be selected as one of the digital innovation hubs, you will have, or you can participate in most, if not all, of these activities. So you will be profiting from all of that, what we are providing here. Now, you've heard a lot about this word of digital innovation hub. So now let's lift the veil a bit and look behind the scene what a digital innovation hub is. And this is a one-sentence summary, so I'm just going to read that aloud at this stage. So it's a coordinated group of organizations with complementary expertise and a public benefit objective, offering a set of services and activities to companies to support their digital transformation innovation through one-stop shop. That's a long sentence, and it contains lots of detailed information. And in the upcoming slides, I'm going to say a bit more about what do we mean with the coordinated group of organizations, what is the complementary expertise, what is the public benefit objective, and what are the set of services and activities that we're looking out for. But before starting that, I want to just say one thing that I think is important at that stage. Usually in the context when we speak about digital hubs, especially in the African context, we usually mean organizations or projects that focus on startups and tech entrepreneurs. And they do play a very, very important role in this overall concept of digital innovation hubs, but they are not the primary target group. The primary target group of a digital innovation hub are small and medium-sized enterprises. So companies that run already a certain business, but they're not yet using or deploying digital technologies to their full potential. So if you think, for example, about agriculture, it would be something like your cooperative, your agri dealer, your logistics companies. So, you know, regular companies that operate a business, but they are not yet utilizing digital technologies. You know, those companies should address or can then address the digital innovation hub to help them in their digital transformation through this one-stop shop item. So this I just wanted to put in the very beginning as a disclaimer. Now, let's look at the concept of digital innovation hubs and what is the connect for organizations. So the way that you can think about it is that there are some core entities. It could be 2 or more entities that need to form this organization. Maybe you can mute, I hear some background noise. They should form the core of a digital innovation. And the best way that you can think about it, or the best metaphor that comes to mind is that these core entities. You can hear me again. That they serve as the orchestrator of their local innovation ecosystems. So they should be the ones that if a certain request comes in from a company, that they know who in their local innovation ecosystem can provide what type of services or what type of products, and then they basically mobilize those actors and pull them together to deliver that certain project towards the companies. So this is in a way the idea behind these core entities. And why do we say it should be 2+ entities? On the one hand, as we will see later on, we don't believe that there is a single entity that can cover all of the expertise areas or set of services. And the second reason is we also all know that innovation ecosystems, or ecosystems in general, they emerge with the collaboration of actors, working them on joint projects and so on. So this is what we want to foster already at this stage. Now, maybe let me say one more thing about the reach of a digital innovation hub. So a digital innovation hub is firmly grounded in a local innovation ecosystem that has a certain geographical reach. It could be a metropolitan area, or depending on the size of the country, is a country or a certain district or region in there. But it should have this very local footing. However, the services that a digital innovation hub can offer, they could be nationwide, they could be region-wide, or even Pan-African, or even globally. That's not restricted, but a digital innovation hub should always draw the strengths from that local innovation ecosystem where it's grounded and founded. Now, let's move on to the areas of expertise that we're looking out for. So the core entities of a digital innovation hub should cover basically 4 different expertise areas. On the one hand, there should be a certain technology expertise, but there is no, let's say, requirement or restriction from our end as to what that technology is. It could be artificial intelligence, it could be blockchain, VR, AR, drones, you know, to name the usual culprits, but it could be also mobile broadband technology. So anything basically that is technology. So there's no restriction or no requirement from us as what that technology is, but there should be this expertise. Technology can be applied in lots of different means and lots of different areas. So the second expertise that we're requiring is an application area expertise. So knowing how to deploy or use a certain technology for a specific application. And then lastly, there should be someone in their consortia, in their digital innovation hub, who has that sectorial expertise. So who knows how to put the technology and the application into the larger picture of that specific sector. And encompassing all of that is the financing aspect, because digital technologies usually come with a price tag, be that for hardware, software, or licenses or whatever. And the digital innovation hub should have that expertise in knowing what are the financial instruments available for a company to deploy or to purchase certain digital technologies. Now, what do we mean about the public benefit objective? The public benefit objective means that we want to, we have chosen the public benefit objective to allow private sector companies as well to participate in the digital innovation hub. So it is okay if you operate a digital innovation hub as a private sector company, as long as the profit making is not the primary objective. So the primary objective of the digital innovation hub should be the public benefit, and the public benefit is to support your economy in a digital transformation and strengthen your local innovation ecosystem. If through achieving this public benefit, you basically have a self-sustaining financial model, or maybe you do make even a bit of incidental profit out of these operations, then that's fine, as long as it's not the primary objective. And also keep in mind that your regular operations, that if you are private sector companies, that you operate as a standalone entity, they're not affected by this at all. So if we're saying the public benefit objective, that only applies to the part of the services that you will be offering through the digital innovation hub. Now, what are the set of services and the 4 set of services that the digital innovation hub should or needs to provide? Let's start off with the one test before invest. So Digital Innovation Hub should allow companies to try out a certain digital technology before they decide to invest in it. So the way that you can think about it is providing an opportunity for companies to establish if there was a positive return of investment if they deploy that technology. Now, this could be, again, there is no restriction from us or no requirement from us as how to achieve this detection. It could be anything. It could be something like access, if you're operating with hardware devices, access to those hardware devices, so access to experimentation facilities. But it could also be, if you're thinking more about data serves, for example, whatever, precision agriculture, and you need high resolution historical weather data. It could be access to these, let's say, test data or test data samples. But it could go even as far as simply providing access to test user groups so that you could, or that the company could validate a certain value proposition or the adoption with certain users. So anyway, test before invest, as I mentioned before, we don't really define, or there is no definition of what that really means. And that's why we are very interested in your ideas and your vision. What could it mean for you to do a test before invest in your specific case? Now, if we assume now that a company has validated, yes, there is a benefit in using the technology, then we have that second service areas is access to finance. As I've said before, usually digital technologies come with a price tag. And now the Digital Innovation Hub should be able to broker this access to financial instruments. That doesn't need to mean that a Digital Innovation Hub needs to provide all of the financing themselves. There are examples, or there could be examples where a Digital Innovation Hub as well provides financing, but that's not required. So all that we're asking here for is knowing what type of financial instruments are available in your innovation ecosystem and having that expertise in knowing which ones are suitable. And it could be anything from very traditional financial instruments such as credits and loans towards investment options up until, let's say, informal financing things such as crowdfunding campaigns or diaspora funding or similar things. Now, once you have validated, or the company has validated the benefit, it has secured the investment, then the third one is you need someone to operate the digital technologies. And this is where the skills and development aspect comes in. So this is basically meant for the Digital Innovation Hub to equip the companies with the required skills to actually operate a certain digital technology in order to then enable the workforce to use that. Now, the last one here is ecosystem building. So just by basically having done already all of the three things before, you're doing already ecosystem building. But in general, there are other things that you can think about, something like, holding regular events, networking events. But also what we are seeing is there is academic institutions involved that sometimes they sponsor PhD position or postdocs or master students to a Digital Innovation Hub so that those individuals can work on real life projects, increase their employability on the market later on, or maybe even do spin-offs. So this is just some ideas. Now, as we said, there is no requirement on how you do all of those four service areas. And that's why we're so curious to as well see your idea and your vision on how you think about filling that. So this is, I think, is for the four set of services. As I said, if you look at the companies, as I've mentioned before, the focus is on small and medium-sized enterprises. But having said that, we don't want to exclude anyone from becoming a potential client of a Digital Innovation Hub. So anyone can be, but we're just saying at the very beginning, focus on small and medium-sized enterprises. Obviously, if you have mid-caps or if you have international organizations that want to request our service, perfectly fine, but usually they have their own means of innovation. And also we have discussed quite a bit on the topic of public sector. We all know that public sector is in desperate need of and we also know that
Mark, you should be able to. You should be on mute at the moment.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
No, I've demuted myself. Thank you. Where did I stop? Public sector, right? So public sector can be obviously a part of it, and if you have a very good and convincing case, perfectly fine. We're just saying at the very beginning, due to the let's say specific requirements, we would recommend you to focus on small and medium-sized enterprises. Now, what we have been giving from the European Commission, we have been giving 4 topics that the digital innovation hubs should be established around, and that should be chosen by the application. So when you hand an application, you would need to choose from one of these 4 topics on that list. The first one being climate smart agriculture, the second is digital trade, the third one is smart cities, and the last one is clean tech. And yeah, with that, I'm basically through with the presentation and giving you a bit on the context of the AEDIB project and on the concept of the digital innovation hubs. So if there was any questions, please feel free to either speak out or write the question in the chat as you prefer.
Okay, yes, Mark, actually, we do have already one specific question. Can you explain what the European Commission mean with clean tech? Because seems that is a concept that is not very clear.
Clean tech is a very broad concept that encompasses a variety of different applications. So anything that has to do with, for example, renewable energies, sustainable mobility, anything with the, let's say, circular economy topics, anything about obviously recycle, about the efficient use of resources and of energy. So it is a very broad topic that basically combines or is the, let's say, the overarching category for things, as we said, circular economy, renewable energies, waste management, and these type of things. Obviously, there was a bit of intellect about intersection with smart cities in that regard, but in general, anything where you deploy technologies, and in our case specifically digitally enabled technologies in a green way. Let's put it this way. You could also call it
Yeah.
Is there
another question would be like some more example regarding the what is digital trade really means, and if we have some specific case scenario.
Well, we don't have a specific case scenario. I mean, that's why we are asking for your example. But digital trade, similarly, is not just e-commerce. So e-commerce definitely is one, let's say, of one core element, or could be a core element of digital trade. But again, here it's anything that is a digitally enabled trade. So it even goes as far as, for example, in manufacturing processes. So if you're digitizing a manufacturing process in such a way that, for example, whatever you put on an RFID chip or a barcode on a specific product, whatever, could be leather or anything else, that then later on they capture certain, let's say, product characteristics that then later on can be rather used for traceability purposes or for selling it by a digital platform. That's already digital trade. Or the same thing goes into logistics, right? So if you're able to provide a digitally supported logistics supply chain process, that's also digital trade. But again, as well, the pure transaction via a digital platform also falls under categories. It's also a very, let's say, broad topic, but it is centered around trading of goods. It could be physical, also be non-physical. They could be also services. There is no restriction in that regard. It doesn't necessarily have to be physical products.
Perfect. Okay. And then Mark, so one question was, Mark mentioned that there needs to be some financial expertise, which on different funding options. So the question is there a requirement that the financing should be secure before applying?
I mean, the Digital Innovation Hub doesn't need to secure the financing. What they need to do is they need to, Digital Innovation Hub needs to broker this financing itself. So, meaning that that if a company approaches them, let's maybe use an example. Let's use an example. Maybe it's a bit far stretched, but a cooperative wants to purchase a drone to do remote surveillance or apply spraying service. And now they need to come, they don't know how to finance it because they can't do that by the cash flow. Now they can approach a Digital Innovation Hub. Now this Digital Innovation Hub now can look at the specific request of this cooperative and then looks at, okay, I know I have this local bank in my my ecosystem, and they have a special credit lines for supporting agricultural transformation. So maybe that is an option. Or they know, okay, I have this very strong crowdfunding player in my local innovation ecosystem, and maybe it's a good idea for the cooperative to post a campaign there. Or they have linkages to the diaspora system. So it doesn't necessarily need to mean that the Digital Innovation Hub needs to secure that investment, because in the very end, it's a company that wants to purchase it that obviously needs to go through the whatever due diligence process that there is. What the Digital Innovation Hub needs to know is what are the options available and which options are suitable for specific projects.
Okay, perfect. Also, there is some confusion, need a clarification regarding some example for smart cities in this case, and also one question regarding if it's possible to participate on the project focusing on smart, smart clean tech and smart agriculture.
Okay, there is. As far as I'm concerned, there are two topics. Now, let me tackle the last one first. So if you want to apply to two different categories, you will need to hand in applications. Because we think that there is different, you need a different composition of partners for a Digital Innovation Hub for each one of those, right? Because looking at the sectoral expertise, sectoral expertise in agriculture is something else, and in trade, and in smart cities, and in maybe clean tech. So to answer that question, you would need to hand in two applications, two separate applications for each of the topics. And the other question was
regarding some example of smart cities in this case. For us.
Of smart cities. I mean, I don't have now a physical example of cities. Smart cities as the overall category. Again, it is defined very. Could be anything. Of the smart city flows being, for example, whatever mobility services. So how do you manage mobility in a city? It could go from utilities to resource management, but it could also encompass things like e-citizen services. So things that that will enable citizens of a city to more easily more easily take advantage of certain services that municipalities or other things provide, such as whatever car registration and these type of stuff. So again, smart cities goes from, as we say, the management of city flows, such as whatever mobility, towards e-citizen service, but also towards, let's say, really urban development. So anything regarding, let's say, construction side, digitally enabled construction side, smart housing, and the like.
Perfect. I think for the moment we are okay with the answer to the question to Mark.
Okay, I just wanted to say, add something to what Mark was saying. There are brief descriptions of each of the technologies in the guide for applicants. So that together with what Mark has said, which has been excellent, I encourage you to also look at those paragraphs and try to see if that makes also sense to you, to your activities. Okay.
Perfect, Rafael. So if you want, we can follow up with your presentation.
Alessandra, just
Yeah.
a minute. I think there were some questions remaining, especially at the beginning of the meeting. One was regarding the very simple question. One was regarding the tagline that we refer to in the application form. Okay.
Yes.
The tagline is just a punchline. It's a commercial, or let's say a small sentence in which you say or express in a nutshell what is the meaning of your DIH. Okay, I hope this is understood. And another one is regarding the LinkedIn or CV. There, what we're asking in the application form is to upload the CV. Yes. But we're also asking you to create a link down and a LinkedIn account, because it's also useful to see let's say a less formal or more socially oriented profile, okay, which gives us a better idea of who each person is. Okay, and I think that's all, right?
Yes.
The rest were technology.
I note the rest, and we can have a separate session after your presentation.
Yeah, we still have. I'm still seeing some. Do you mean by region the country, or a region like North Africa? Normally, what we mean by region is the area in which the hub is placed. Your region means your province or your, but it can be very small, or it can even it can be transnational also. A region can be transnational, or it can actually be formed by more than one administrative region. It is not, let's say, it is not necessarily the administrative region, but it is the area in which the DIH will be working. Okay. I think that's all, right? Oh yes, there's another question. Peri-urban towns pass for the cities if we consider addressing a topic touching peri-urban towns. A peri-urban area is a region itself, okay? And the way also Mark expressed it, it can be a metropole. Metropole is actually formed by many areas, or many small cities, or many small towns, okay, or smaller towns. So the regions, or the idea of a region is very, very broad, okay? The thing here is that something that Mark also said is that the DIH has to be focused on a certain area where it is set, and where it will develop actually its activity and perform its outcomes. Okay. And I think oh yeah, there's another one. Is it acceptable if we have in consortium individual experts in digital tech and digital transformation applications, part-time professor universities, etc.? Okay. It depends on what you understand by the consortium. What we understand by a consortium is a group of entities, as Mark expressed. Now, we very much welcome the participation, or to bring in experts in the hubs as collaborators, as members of an advisory board, or even as a subcontractors. Okay. In this sense, of course, and I think that if you include, I mean, even there could be experts in the leading team, okay, but normally they should be in what we call an executive board. The leading team should be participated by the members of the consortium, who will at the end create an agreement of entities. Okay, and I think that's all.
Perfect. Okay. So if you want, you can go with your presentation, Rafael. You are neither presenter.
Perfect. Here I go. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can. Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to try to be very brief in order, because I see that the most important here is that you have answers to the questions, right? So first of all, we're going to talk about the highlights of webinar 1, try to really condense what was said there in 5 minutes maximum. We're going to talk about the eligibility criteria that generated a good number of questions in the last webinar, and that we introduced in the frequent asked questions that you can download from the microsite, from the invitation microsite. Then we're going to talk a little bit more about award criteria, and I will go through all the points of the application form for you to really get a good and straightforward idea of what we want in each point. Okay, and then we're going to leave. Hopefully, we will have I hope 30 minutes for a final discussion questions that we will answer. So very fast. This is the second webinar. It is on the basis of a 2-step approach, and our idea with this is that you make the best proposals. So the highlights of webinar 1 is the first thing we explained is that this is a procurement process. Actually, it is a pre-commercial procurement process, which is different in the sense that a pre-commercial procurement process is a procurement of something that is in pre-commercial phase. So that is the situation of your hubs, right? We still your hubs can be identified or understood as innovation projects, and we are going to help you develop it. But for that, we have to have received some interchange, some exchange. And the exchange that we want is your knowledge or your information in order for us to achieve knowledge that will let us be have more information, more instruments, more tools to foster and promote and provide help to other hubs in Africa. So actually, we should learn from you, and for that we need your collaboration. So it is a give and take, right? We will try, and we will. This will be an important part. We will. We will consider those proposals that include a will and a sufficient expertise that will provide information to us for the project, for AEDIB, in order to progress. And we're talking about a procurement process that goes in 3 phases. And the first one is where we are right now. Now, phase 1, that is the pre-commercial tendering. That is where we want to know who is in the market, like yourselves, and from there we're going to choose 12 DIH proposals if they are all good enough, and then we're going to go to a phase 2, which is a lab in which we are going to show you and prepare you for the preparation of your individual plans. And after that, we will enter into a new selection that will bring in just three hubs that will go through the process at the end, but the other 9 will also participate in some of the actions. Not all, but some of the actions they will. So we actually are fostering, and we really want to develop more than 3. We want to develop at least 12, and we want to also disseminate through the project the idea of DIHs in many regions of Europe. Okay, so finally, this slide here, I think it's important, it's interesting for you, where we have the payments that we're going to make and the conditions for you to receive the payments, as well as the timings. Okay, so this begins here at the beginning. We're in January, February. We will begin phase number 2. In there, you will receive reimbursements for the travel accommodation that we will try on the workshops that we are going to try to make on site. And then there is an evaluation after phase 2, where we will consider the definition of your individual plan and your budgets for ADI creation and the implementation costs, right? And so you will receive the first payment of 20% of the total 70,000 according to the budget that you have prepared initially, and then we will give you time to make those expenses to get to the 30%, and finally, after phase 3, let's say after the ADI Lab step 2 has ended, you will we will prepare the reimbursement for the final 50%. So more or less, we're talking about 1 year work, total 1 year work to receive your payments. And then after that, there is a process of let's say of pilot phase, where we will do follow-up, we will do a coaching for you to get to final results, and after which we will make a final report with your information. Okay, so this is I think this is relevant. I think this is important for you, and this is the reason why we want to make it very clear. This is the explanation of in a nutshell of what it is. We're going to give 2 types of supports: direct hub support actions through the ADI Lab, which is a capacity building program, approach and knowledge skills, and we are going to do a follow-up and a coaching and mentoring on the setup and pilot phase. Okay, on that that is the point where you will receive the reimbursement for setup and traveling costs and accommodation, and we are also going to prepare your ecosystems. So we are the second part is the ecosystem and networks actions, which require the preparation of marketplaces. We are going to prepare angel investor networks for your hubs, and we are also going to link your hubs to the network of European DIHs, and of course African diaspora and entrepreneurial matchmaking. So actually we are going to do it to generate along this project the first steps of what is the digital innovation bridge we are looking for. Okay, now regarding the eligibility criteria, I'm not going to go in depth through it because we saw it in webinar number 1. But many questions came after this. You also have this perfectly expressed in the guide for applicants. But maybe we can go through some of the questions that came up. You have these questions and answered in the same way through the frequent asked questions. But maybe we can see some of them that I think are interesting. One is the first one is try to solve a confusion, right? It says part of the requirement is having a full-time staff who funds the salary of full-time staff. Okay, we want to tell you that there is no requirement for DIHs to have full-time staff. If that is the question, what we want is that we are requesting that at least 2 of the consortium members have a minimum of 5 full-time staff collaborators. But these 5 full-time staff collaborators could work part-time in the hub, right? What we're trying to, what we want behind this criteria is that the organizations, at least 2 of the organizations, have a certain entity. Actually, they are organizations, and not just people. So that is, it has to give us a certain a consistency. Okay, and of course, what we're saying is each organization must pay its own full-time staff, and but they can recover from the activities that they are doing for the DIH through the turnover of the DIH. You know? Another question is number 3, for example. When you talk of entrepreneurship organizations, can a tech company register? Of course. The list of companies or type of organizations that we give is just indicative, right? Any kind of organization can participate in the consortium, but of course they have to add the elements, they have to add the skills, the competitive capacities for the activity of the hub. So we are asking for a broad range of types of organizations, and of course tech companies, including private companies, are welcome to form consortiums. But again, what Mark said at the beginning, they must go for a public benefit. So the activities that a private company does for the hub is under limited profit. Okay. I said we do not have an ideal group of organizations, but the truth is that those organizations altogether have to provide the 4 types of services that a DIH is characterized by. Okay. Can we please have more details on the conditions of the consortium? Do the 2 companies doing consortiums need to be in the same country? Please share more details. The 2 companies can be in different countries, or the 2, or we're talking about 2 here. It's 2 is a minimum. Okay. So what we're talking about normally, what we like to talk about is about regions. They can be in different countries, and of course they can be focusing on the same region. For example, a transnational region. That is part of it. But a consortium can have a member that is away from the region, but he will have to work for the region in which the consortium is operating. Okay. I think that's more or less the idea that I want the ideas that I want to express through this this part of the FAQs, right? If there's any question, I'm prepared to answer. But if not, we can leave it for the next part, and we can proceed with the next. How is it going, Alessandra?
Okay, Rafael, if you want, we have some question, so we can answer and we can follow up.
Great. Let's answer them.
Yes. So basically, okay, in the relevance part of the application, you ask us.
Okay. If it is regarding the application form, let's leave it for the next one. Okay. What else do we have regarding this part?
Yeah,
what we call the eligibility criteria. I want to close the eligibility criteria.
We have something regarding the consortium partner.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Can one consortium partner mostly take over a specific part, such as creating a content toolbox, or do both have to be engaged in running it? I would like to learn more about your thoughts here. As it's not really clear. This is what the question.
Okay. The idea of the consortium is that the capabilities of each of the partners all together and the capabilities of the collaboration of the ecosystem all together provide the competencies to provide the services, to give the service, right? So let's say that we should be thinking about complementary competencies and actually complementary roles and activities. So if I understood correctly, there is no reason why, or there is no reason why one of the consortium members cannot take full charge of the administration. But of course, it's a consortium, so there has to be a way of making decisions and of governance that makes sure that each one is doing properly its job. I hope I've answered correctly the question. I've addressed the question. Okay.
Yes. Also, one other specific is that it has a lot to do with leadership. So, can one partner run it and the other one just design as a content toolbox?
Again, yes, but again, it's a consortium, so they have to have a way of each one control what the other one is doing. The roles can be perfectly split. Now, the responsibility goes to the consortium as a whole.
Okay, and the last one regarding the consortium is, can the consortium be composed of 3 partners, 2 having 5 full-time staff, and the leader of the consortium have only 2 full-time staff?
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. As long as you keep all the rules. Number one, you're saying that 2 of them have more than 5. That's perfect. We have another one which is 2, but and you have decided that one will be the coordinator or the leader. That is fine. But again, there has to be a governance and behind that consortium. And that is something that we are not requiring now, but we will show you how to do, or what is our experience in governing consortium. So that can be prepared for let's say for the 3rd phase. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Another question?
Yeah, just a sec, because I have been asked to check one specific question. So the cost of merging, sorry. Okay. The cost of managing contracts. Can this cost be covered by the digital hub cost, or does the
Of
consortium
course.
have to
Of course.
absorb these costs?
Of course. That is a part. Normally, it should be part of what we understand is a work package, which is project management. And yes, as I said, the hub must be economically sustainable, and part of the costs are in managing it. So it should, and that's it's an important part. Yes.
Okay, seems that we don't have any more questions regarding the eligibility criteria for the moment.
Okay, good. I have one question here. I see it was about a half an hour ago. Does the DIH need to be registered in the Gjrc catalog of the European Commission? Absolutely no. Okay. The DIH, the Gjrc catalog is a European catalog, and it is meant for a specific purpose, which has nothing to do with what we're creating now, which is the AEDIB. Maybe in the future they could be thinking about including it, but the Gjrc catalog is a European Commission, and it stands only for European DIHs. Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. So we go with the next part, with the award criteria. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the award criteria, as said, and one of you already has some questions about it, we have 3 awarding criteria: relevance, impact, and implementation. I don't want to go to spend too much time on this because I explained it in webinar 1. You can look at the video of webinar 1, but I want to point out relevance has to do with needs and opportunities, with the challenges that you are facing, and that your hub actually is aligned with needs, opportunities, and of course, it has to be aligned with the objectives of this invitation. That is what we really want to evaluate and what we want to value. Okay. Also, there are aspects very important with like overcoming financial obstacles. Overcoming financial obstacles has to do with innovation. I mean, we cannot separate innovation, our innovation process, from the need of having funding for that innovation. So that is a capacity that a hub has to bring in, and we want to make sure that all of you have all of the selected DIHs have a focus on how am I going to get funding for my hub and for the SMEs. Okay, so there has to be certain financial focus, right? It has to build a digital capacity, it has to foster entrepreneurship and address other major challenges. This is relevance, right? That actually we're really facing challenges that are realistic and clear. The second point is impact. Impact, in this case, what we want is to know what is your idea of the impact that your concept is going to create. And therefore, what are the structures? What are the elements that you are going to bring in to create impact? And finally, the implementation part is really going to the ground of what is the maturity of your hub or of your idea. We are not going to qualify better those who are more mature, not necessarily. What we are going to qualify better is the ones who explain the best their state of maturity, okay? So, because that will give us an idea, or that will give us the support to think that you will be capable of developing the project up to the end, which is what we want, because if you get to the end, we will get to the end. Okay, so the second part is the team's capacity to carry out the work. And the third part is, what are the resources that you have? What are the infrastructures? Mark talked about test before invest. Well, what are the infrastructures that you do not necessarily have to have inside the DIH, but that you can count on for your SMEs, either subcontracting or either having a collaboration with a university, with a technology center, etc. Okay? All right. Now, we are getting into the application form. Any question about this, about the awarding? I'm listening to some noise. Is it possible? Yeah.
Should be fine now.
Thank you, Alessandra. So we're getting to the end of this part. We will start with the application form, but I would suggest that anything that has to do with the idea of these three concepts, that we can talk about it now here. For example, that question that we had before, Alessandra, regarding the relevance.
Yes, so let me go through some more specific questions regarding the application. So could you kindly provide some guidelines to the requisite 4 slide on relevance?
Yeah, we will go through that. Okay, I will explain it. I prefer explaining it on the basis of the slides that I have prepared. But yes, we will. Well, actually, what we want is that, again, in those 4 slides, that you describe your hub in a nutshell. Okay, but we will go through that later. Okay, next question.
Actually, it's all regarding the application for, so like what is expected in the PowerPoint part of the form.
Okay, we'll go through it. Okay. So we go get into the application form. Okay. I'm getting directly to the points. Now, the word relevance and the definition of relevance, I repeated on each slide, so you will have it. Now, point number 3.1 is focus. What we want is, we need to assure that the DIH's purpose fits to the project's goals, for which you are requested to describe your DIH concept, including its mission, its vision, strategic objectives, geographical outreach. Let's say we want to know how you are focusing your hub on the most elemental parts, which is the purpose, mission, vision, strategic objectives, etc. Okay. It goes on application areas, technologies being covered, and how all this responds to the real needs of SMEs, the economy, industries, and the people of the area. I mean, when we express that in the application form, it's because we want you to address each and every one of the points. Or let's put it in another way. The evaluator will see point by point if you have covered all the information, and he will partially evaluate on the completeness of the answer. regarding what we are asking. So we're asking you to please fulfill all the elements, and also in this part of focus, you should provide arguments that support your capability and will to provide the project what we want, the essential information about the process of setting up digital innovation hubs in Africa. We need your collaboration. So here there are parts there. Let's say the focus has two parts. One is what is the activity, the mission, the reason of being, the real purpose of the hub, and second, that you provide arguments that support that you are going to help us. Okay. I hope that's clear. If not, please address your questions, and I will answer them. We will answer them at the end. Okay. There is no focus without challenges. Now we go for point 3.2. Point 3.2 addresses challenges, but there are two aspects in this point that we are asking you to fill in. One is challenges, and the other one is describe how you are going to face those challenges. Okay. So we want you to look at your territory, to look at your region, to look at the situation where your region is, and to explain what are the challenges that you see for your or on digitalization. Okay, and who are the target groups, the needs of each of those target groups, and including one important thing, the figures regarding the number of companies within the target segments. Let's say the challenge is important, but the more companies or the more activity that your region has, it makes it even more important. Okay, so we want to have a reference, an idea of what are we approaching, what is the real what are the real challenges, what is the real situation of the region, and what the hub is going to do. And that goes on the approach. Okay, so regarding the approach is reinforcing and securing the digital technology ecosystem in your region, identifying its gaps, and describe opportunities for the DIH, and also create connections with the supply chains of other areas to strengthen your supply chain. Okay. Of course, you will have to define and describe the target groups, as I said, explaining the services and competences of the hub and what they can offer. Of course, the 4 types of services, you can link into that. And we need to have a clear idea of a consistent explanation of your approach. So first is the purpose or the focus, challenges, and how you are going to approach those challenges through the instrument, which is the DIH and its services. Now, you cannot face the previous without having the players, yourselves, your consortium. Now, here in main players, we want you to describe your consortium. The more the relevance, the importance, the maturity of the members will provide more support or credibility to your project, right? We were saying that and we said it in the guide for applicants, that we are looking for organizations that are willing and are capable to assume the position of regional digital innovation hub, accelerating and supporting the digitalization of SMEs, and who will develop the approach toward collaborative work environment with all other local players. So they will have to assume the role of innovation orchestrators. So make sure that your consortium, the entities that form it, actually all together can act as innovation orchestrators. And that means that they also that they will be recognized as so, or they have capability of being recognized as so in the region. This is important, of course, for the credibility towards the SMEs, and it's important also for the credibility towards the policymakers, who will or should provide you ideas or work to by being an instrument of their policies. And also you should be able to acquire funding for those activities that complement the ones of the policymakers, of the administration. Okay, so please address all the points that we require in the description of the main players, and let's say on the business-like or business-wise activities, but also in the technological activities. And this has a lot to do with the questions that you asked before regarding the technology. We're happy that you asked these points, because this is essential. Okay, so your expertise also has to be clear in the specific areas of digitalization, but also, as Mark explained, it's also very useful to have a certain knowledge, capability on the sectors and on the application aspects of the technologies. Okay, so really put special effort in showing that the players that form the consortium really are have activities that address that show that you have these competencies all together. We're asking you for to select a specialization area. As I said, the selection is going to be made divided by specialization areas. This is why Mark expressed explained that you only are allowed for one, and if you want more than one, then you have to make separate proposals. Okay, and we're asking you to provide evidence of that experience. So we're asking you to provide a list of references in projects. In projects on these technologies, but these projects made by of course, by the consortium entities on their own, not as a consortium, not necessarily as a consortium. Okay, so you should add the activities, the projects in which the consortium members have participated in the past in the technology selected. Okay. Now, a very important part for alignment, and as I think I expressed, is your alignment with the policies, with the administration. Okay, with what is required in your region, or what is the general knowledge of what is required in your region. So if you can name existing policies, strategies of your governments, projects that are going on, projects going on which you could have synergies or you can contribute to. So that's also very important, because you are adding on. That also gives a certain idea of your sustainability, because you are addressing something that has already been addressed or focused. And this is at regional, national, and of course, yeah, why not African levels? I mean, try to be as extensive, but also be precise on the part regarding the region itself. Okay, and the second part is your capability of overcoming financial obstacles. This is important. As I said, funding is part of innovation. Innovation has a market failure, and it is understood that finance in order to stimulate innovation, we need funding, we need support, because it's not evident that somebody's going to give money for something that's still to be created. So you have to address how you will acquire financial support. It does not mean that you have to have it already, but we want to make sure and qualify your idea of how you are going to get the funding for yourself, for your sustainability, according to your activities, but also according to or relying on the support of public administration or other entities, private entities, of course, and also the funding that you will be providing for the SMEs, of course, through with the support that you are already doing by your not-for-profit activity. Okay. Now, last but not least in relevance is the contribution to digital inclusion and other major societal challenges. We want to make sure that the DIH is not only a technological center. It actually is a center that addresses through a transversal technology offer or approach many of the issues, the questions that your region will be challenging, and it's important to have a focus on those areas and not only on the productive ones, because digitalization has very much to offer the society as a whole to overcome many issues such as gender, environment, talked about it through clean tech, rural development, or other social needs. Okay, so again, we're finishing the part on relevance. Relevance also has to do with being aligned with other major societal challenges. Okay, really, this is an important and interesting part, which will give your DIH an element of creativity and an element of approach to society and awareness to society that is very, very, very important and interesting. Now, impact. What do we want here? We know that your hubs have not been created yet, but you should be able to give us an idea of what the DIH is going to overcome and is going to deliver. So we want to know how clear is your idea of how the DIH will develop along the next 2 years, let's say collaborating with us, and the outcomes it will deliver. Okay? So it's important that this picture is supported by a consistent rationale with concepts behind it. And this is, we're asking for additional information through the from the 2 slides, right, with a roadmap, to uploading it, and where we want you to show schematically the actions and outcomes in a timeline. So please make sure that you address all the points. Okay, when we're saying define a realistic vision roadmap of the DIH's development in the following 2 years, and a list of outcomes and deliverables achievable in this period. Outcomes can be results in terms of number of SMEs that you will address, areas that you will cover, outreach, deliverables, reports, or projects that you can evidence. That is all that has to do with the roadmap, and of course the roadmap of your own development in the sense of the services. How are you going to implement them in the roadmap of the next 2 years and the new activities? Okay. Very important that you explain the rationale behind, but it's very important that we have a clear idea of in the timeline of what you think is important and what are the outcomes that you are going to address. Now, part of this roadmap is a very important part is the DIH promotion. The DIH promotion is to create awareness, to make sure that everybody knows you're there, especially your target users. But it is also a key activity to gain support and new participants, also members that can join the consortium, or participants or collaborations that can help you provide more services, or that can help you in providing infrastructures. For example, private companies with whom you could get to have agreements to lend you or to create showcases. Now that is very important. So we are asking you here to really show us, tell us what are you going to do to promote it. I would say directly, let's say in a direct communication, and also by other channels through social networks and others. But we understand this is clear that it has to be, at least at this stage, it has to be a combination of both, right? You have to do presentations. You should prepare a good presentation of your concept. Partially, we hope that the preparation of this proposal will give you ideas for this to see what are the elements that you think are worthwhile to communicating well, and the messages you want to translate. Okay, so this is important to fulfill correctly. If you dare to promote, is because you dare, because you believe in your project. Okay. Now the next point on impact is how you are going to address a main aspect is strengthen the competitiveness of your target users, mainly your SMEs and startups. Okay. In this sense, we're asking you to define the short, medium, and long-term effects of the project. So let's say defining the short could be 1 year, 1.5 years, medium could be 3 years, and from 3 years onwards, we can say it's the long term. Okay, so really here what we want is how you envision the benefits that the SMEs and startups will gain regarding their competitiveness. Innovation exists because we want to be competitive. Let's say the root of innovation is competitiveness. So really, we must address the first need the companies have is gain their competitiveness. Then afterwards, we will understand, or they will reveal what are the innovation projects or the aspects of innovation they want to tackle. But we should think about and stimulate that companies think in terms of competitiveness, of gaining competitiveness to reach better markets, to get better margins, to create better employment. Okay, this is another point that we are addressing: the employment, how you will improve employment in this part. So be as specific as possible on the outcomes of the project, on the competitiveness of SMEs and startups. Okay, which is a main goal. And next point is how you are going to contribute. How do you think? What is going to be how do you see yourself in contributing to the bridge, to the Pan-African Transcontinental Innovation Bridge? Okay, do you see yourself working in this field? How do you see yourself, and how do you think you will best contribute? If you have connections already, if you can partner, you will partner with other DIHs. If you will be able to create corridors I mean, anything or your ideas on how you as a DIH will participate in a network of DIHs creating a Pan-African and transcontinental bridge. Now we're getting to the end of this part, and it's the implementation. Now in the implementation, what we want is to make sure that you are capable and that you see yourself capable of developing the project, of getting to the end. So the first point is 5.1, where we talk about maturity of the action. Straightforward. We want to know how mature the project is. Not necessarily will the most mature receive the highest score, but the one most clearly describes its maturity. Okay, so please provide a clear picture of the past story and the ongoing activities, because that will give us an idea of where you are placed at this moment. Okay, it's interesting to know the story of the consortium agreement. What is the state? What was the story behind getting to the consortium agreement and the partners? Years and existence of reference. Maybe you have collaborated previously. That is positive, and that gives credibility. If you have worked previously, we should understand that this previous experience it can support or is an important factor to gain credibility on the future, and already ongoing activities related to the services actions of the DIH. Okay, so this is important. Now the 5.2 addresses the capacity of the consortium, and we divided. Actually, we're dividing it in two parts, and by the information that we are requiring. One is the capacity of the leading team. This is very important. For those of you who are in entrepreneurship, you know that the leading team is important, is basic to qualify if a project will lead forward. But we are not necessarily talking here about the leading team participants, but also the leading team as an organization, and how it will decide each step. Okay, so we have on one hand the profiles, the skills, the experience, the knowledge of the people, which is very important, but also we want you to address how you are organized and how decisions are taken. Remember that this will be the basis for the future, what we would call the governance. Okay, so of the hub. So this is very important. We want to have a clear idea that your teams are consistent, that your teams are structured, and that you have the profiles and also the energy and the power to move the project forward. The second part is the capacity of the consortium in terms of infrastructures, equipment, and resources. So that gives us an idea also of the maturity and the capability of implementing the services. What are their availability today to provide the services, including external support or service to be hired or subcontracted, and including external experts, so that can provide knowledge, skills, technological backgrounds, etc. Okay, so please remember on 5.2 to clearly make sure you address these two concepts: capacity of the leading team and infrastructures. And we're almost getting to the end. We want you to provide us the team introduction. So to describe one by one the participants, and for that we are asking you to provide the CVs, and if possible the LinkedIn link to to have more information about the backgrounds. And then we're asking you to provide, excuse me, at the beginning, in the project description, we are asking you to provide slide presentation with 4 content slides maximum. Okay, we're saying that slide 6 and onwards will be ignored. The idea behind is that somehow that you have you show us through those 4 slides an executive resume of what you are of your proposal. So I would suggest to address this point at the end. Once you have filled in all the rest, and you are really prepared to see what is really important about the hub. And yes, I would say that that you should cover as much as possible the main ideas that are structured behind this proposal in those 5 slides or 6 slides that we are requiring. Okay, we're also asking you to, if possible, to provide a video, okay, of 3 minutes. Actually, in the video, we want the leading team to introduce themselves, the people. What I'm saying is 3 minutes in which the 3-4 participants talk very briefly about themselves and why they are in the project. Huh? And so this is mainly what we want to address here. Of course, the final part is the declaration of honor. Please do not forget to say yes to all the parts, and make sure, yes, that it is all filled in. There will be an alert if you do not, but in any case, please make sure that you go point by point. Okay, so this is for me this part. I hope I covered it all. I hope it was interesting. I hope you're still there. And yes, please go ahead with the questions that Mark and I will very be filled to answer. Okay.
Okay. Yes, Rafael. So, if you don't mind, I would like to. We have a lot of questions regarding relevance. But before
yes.
that, I will start with some other question, which is touching point that you just explained. So once again, regarding the leading teams video, there are some misunderstanding regarding this. It has to be a description of the team itself, as you explained.
Yeah, what we want. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go. Yes. We would like to know you. So actually, what we want is the leading team participants to present themselves and say something about the project, why they're in, and what they think the project will cover, or what is the main elements of the project. So it's, let's say, 3 minutes. If you have 3 participants, well, it's 1 minute per participant. If you want to do it one person, it's okay. But we would really want to see the team. Okay, we would like to be the first presentation of the people with whom we are going to work with and we are going to collaborate with.
Okay, and does it have to be recorded on YouTube in order to be public?
It can be no, absolutely not. I mean, actually, what we're asking you is to upload it in our system in the Gjrc. It does not have to be public. We would say we prefer. I think this should stay in the private domain of the invitation. And it is, I mean, it does not have to be sophisticated. It does not have to be prepared It can be a WhatsApp video. Okay, I mean, where the three people together in a room present each other. You can let's say edit it as you want, but it does not necessarily have to be edited. It is just a presentation of the people, and say hello, say who you are, what you do, and why you're in the project. So that this is and what your project can provide.
Perfect. So regarding
Okay.
the period of the funding, it's intended to be 2 years or less?
Please repeat again.
Is regarding the period for which the funding is intended. So it's going to be 2 years or it's less?
It's going to be less than 2 years. I mean, because the project will end in December 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we are in January 2022, so it has to be necessarily in 2 years, in less than 2 years.
Okay. And
maybe,
yes,
maybe I can add a bit on that, because I think this is very important for you to keep in mind. So for those who have maybe who remember the very beginning of my presentation, is that there is this political initiative, right, the larger one. And we have this AEDIB project. And the AEDIB project is what we're speaking currently about. And within this AEDIB project, we have that very clear, defined scope in terms of being able to provide support for up to 12 digital innovation hubs, but funding only for the up to 3, and a very defined, let's say, end date. However, in the meanwhile, what we are working on, bigger initiatives. So we are currently already thinking about and putting forward proposals with the European Commission to its other European member states to scale this entire approach that we are piloting here up. So yes, the funding at this stage for the AEDIB project is limited to the 1 year, but it is very likely or highly likely that there will be a continuation. So once you would be established and would be part of being the pool of that 12 digital innovation hubs, the likelihood of getting additional funding and getting additional support after the period of the very specific AEDIB project is really high. So think about this as well as a kind of, let's say, very small, not small, but as a first step, right? That there is more to come. There is nothing that I can promise, I can commit to right now, but there is already the very clear political signals that this will be scaled up. So take this as well as a bit of an investment, maybe from your side, to understand that there will be more coming up. That also extends, as and I think I forgot that to mention at the very beginning. As I said, we can support 12 out of these 12 digital innovation. We can provide financing to 3 of them, part of the AEDIB project. We are working as well to secure the additional investment or the additional funding for the 9 ones who won't be selected. We are working with European member states. We're working with the EU delegation to provide also the same type of financing to the other ones. So please keep that in mind. There was nothing I can commit to right now, but that there is a high likelihood of this happening. So yeah, this I just wanted to mention that in terms of the scope of the.
Thank you, perfect. And regarding the maturity illustration that Rafael was going through earlier, there is a previous collaboration between the partners mandatory?
Excuse me, repeat again. Is a previous collaboration? Previous? No.
Yes, it's a collaboration between partners mandatory.
No.
Okay. Last one regarding the specialization area. What does list of reference projects mean?
Okay. In this list of projects, or this list of references, what we want is to name the project, small description, the year of starting and the year of finishing. That's all we want.
Perfect. So I will go now to the relevance part, which is the part we have more questions. So could you kindly provide some guidelines for the requisite 4th slide on relevance?
I would say we want to leave it open, but I would say that, of course, a tagline of the DIH, the situation, let's say the context in which the DIH arises, who are the members, and the specific objectives. I think those 4 points are crucial. But again, it's, as I said, take it as an executive summary in 4 slides to show us what the DIH is intended for, and what are the challenges and the outcomes that it will reach. I think that's the point.
Yes, and this answers also to another question that we have regarding what is expected in the PowerPoint part of the form. So can we say it's more and less this, the explanation?
That's it. That's exactly that. Okay. Sure. So we're asking you at the beginning of the description of the project to provide us 4 slides, again, as an executive summary description of the DIH. Number 2, we're asking you, excuse me, and on the second part, we're asking you to describe a roadmap of the hub in the impact part.
Okay, and here we have a more specific. So in the relevance part of the application, you ask to explain the services that the hub could offer and details the most relevant ones. Is it okay if we can provide the 4 services with different levels and the most relevant one is skill development?
Yes, it's okay. It's okay, but I would say that we should try to find that the 4 types of services have a certain balance. I mean, it's not the intention of having a DIH focused on skills development. We need that all the elements are covered with sufficient level.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I can add this is this idea of this one-stop shop. So a company that wants to have a digital transformation should be able to go to a digital innovation hub to address all its needs. Yet there can be a specific expertise in terms of, let's say, the skills and development part out of the core entities. But as I've said before, it doesn't necessarily need to mean that the core entities need to cover with equal strength all of the 4 service centers, but they need to know who to mobilize in their local innovation ecosystem to deliver those 4 services, at least that's the part. So think about this in terms of the one-stop shop. So are you able to, or how can you provide this, let's say, one solution to potential clients?
Okay. Also, another one, in relevance part of application, can the consortium member achievements include providing consultancy service? For example, studies, research in the specialization area of the DIH?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. This is an asset. Actually, if somebody has provided consultancy services, it's a plus. It's a plus, yes. But it's not the only one. But it's an interesting plus, yes.
Yeah. Another one, for the URL of one of the company, can it be just a social media page, or it's better to have a website?
It's not necessary to have a website. 1 point. We will not. We understand that some of the entities that form the consortium can be less developed than others. So yes, any URL descriptive of the company is okay for us. Will be okay.
Great. For the moment, I don't have any more questions. if I don't know if you, Mark and Rafael, you wanna stress out something underlying. This is like the last webinar before our first cutoff. Actually, regarding these specific points, I read a question earlier regarding that if a consortium is participating in the first cutoff, then it's gonna be excluded in the second open call.
No.
Okay, can participate.
No. Exactly. The point is, this is important. An entity can only be funded once.
Okay.
Okay. So if an entity participates in more than one project, it will be only the one with the highest score will be considered. Okay. This is important, and this is included in the guide for applicants, and it's an eligibility criteria, and it's actually in the evaluation process.
Okay.
So let's say nobody's going to be excluded for eligibility criteria if he participates in more than one project. Once we are in the process of selecting, then only the one with the highest score will be selected for one same participant or same type of or similar participants.
Okay, question regarding financing. So we need to identify all financial instruments before the creation of the DIH, or we need them for the sustainability of the DIH after the implementation?
Okay. We will get into the process of, and part of it is the promotion process, and part of it is the roadmap process to get actually to have consistent collaborations with funding entities. At this stage, what we're asking you for the proposal itself, we're asking you is to give us your idea, provide us your idea of who can be the entities and what will be the ways that your project will receive funding, either through your activities or through, say, administration support or private entities. But at this phase right now, we understand that you are all in the beginning, but we will work on getting the funding along the 2 years. It's an important part to make sure that we get into the pilot phase with certain guarantees, and that afterwards you will be able to be sustainable after the project and enter in those other phases that Mark was talking about.
Okay, regarding the video, do we have a specific date for the 3 minutes video and other steps to prepare ourselves? It's related with the submission of the proposal.
I mean, it has to be presented with the proposal. It has to be at the cutoff. But again, it's not a requirement. It's not absolutely required. We want you to do it, but if somebody does not present the video, it will not be. It's not an eligibility criteria. Okay. So I would say try to prepare it. Really, it doesn't take too much time. It's just create a script and go one by one expressing what is in the script. It can take, let's say, a preparation of 1 hour to do it all, because it's 3 people. If it were 1 people, it takes 15 minutes. With 1 person, it takes 15 minutes.
Okay, one specific question is the vision in the impact part different of the vision state in the relevance part?
Yes, actually, we are not. Okay, yeah, absolutely, yes. It's different concepts. The vision in the relevance part is a statement of vision, which stands for how do you see your organization in the future, or what will be the final outcome of your organization, of your DIH. Let's say opposed to the mission, which is your reason of being. Okay, we are here because we do this. Okay, while the vision is what is my understanding of how am I going to be seen by the others, or what I will achieve in the future. While for the impact part, what we're asking you is to create your idea of the roadmap of the DIH along the next 2 years. That's the most important thing here. So one is an idealistic vision, and the other one is a roadmap. Okay, it's a very good question. Thank you. I think it's very important to clarify this.
Yes, I think we don't have any more questions. We are eating the time we reserved for this webinar. So we can, one question was if we are going to share this presentation and the record video. Of course, yes. We are going to contact you directly to the email address that you use for the registration. So I think it's everything for today. Thank you very much, Rafael. And
thank you very much. And thank you. Could I ask you if you could please, so I can have a print screen of all of you, if you could appear and say hello with your images. Thank you. Fadila, how are you, my friend?
Very well, Rafael. Great presentation. Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, Rafael. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Hi, Rafael. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your nice presentation.
Okay, more. I want more pictures. I like to see people's faces.
Hello, Rafael.
Hello.
Okay, here's my face.
You are also from Tunisia.
Nice.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm from Ghana.
Okay, Olfa. Thank you very much.
I'm from Ghana.
Oh, merci, Corinne du Cameroon.
Okay, Corinne.
Hey, Isaac from Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
Corinne.
Great.
Me?
Thank you.
Merci,
I know you?
de rien.
I'm supposed to know you.
Thank you, Rafael, so much. I'm Lobna from Egypt.
Hello.
Thank you so much, Rafael.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope it's all useful.
Yeah,
And I hope
Bye.
to see you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.